It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. It has been a wonderful Youth Day commemoration, celebration. We've also taken on board the responsibility on young shoulders existing right now. So let's get onto that tip. Every year on Youth Day, we have the opportunity to celebrate and mainstream young people's voices, their actions, and their initiatives. And the youth involved in the non-profit organization Wild Oceans are continuing in their incredible work to protect our oceans, one of our most valuable resources. They believe the time to act is now in protecting our oceans before we risk ocean collapse and the subsequent economic loss and the loss of biodiversity. It is a crisis.
Truly scary stuff indeed, G. Now, this morning, Wild Oceans Strategic Communications Manager Ruth Mthembu and Wild Oceans Communications Assistant Nomzamo Phungula joins us in the studio to tell us about the incredible campaign and, of course, our incredible home, our second on the ocean. Ladies, thank you for joining us this morning. I gotta say thank you firstly, because the custodian work you're doing to protect that beautiful playground that we all get to enjoy, I can't thank you enough for this work, man. But what exactly is Wild Oceans all about? What is the work that you're doing? And more specifically, Listen to the Oceans campaign. Can you weigh in on this?
Sure. So thank you so much for having us. First of all, Wild Oceans is a program of an even bigger trust called the Wild Trust. But Wild Oceans focuses mainly on marine conservation, advocacy and awareness. So bringing awareness to this beautiful blue blanket called the ocean and everything in it. So we do a lot of research work that also informs policy in government, and also just try to get the public involved in protecting and loving our beautiful ocean.
Blue blankets, I love that. That's the perfect term. I love the fact that you've also introduced the socio-economic elements here, because it's not just about protecting the wild, but it's about that link between humanity, sustainable living, and the ocean itself. Let's get into the darker side of this conversation, and either one of you, both of you, can weigh in here. What are the major risks? What keeps you guys up at night?
So there are a lot of risks that are threatening our ocean currently, and this past weekend, we had the G7 summit that happened from the 11th till the 13th of June, which our president was present at and represented South Africa. So that is where Listen to the Ocean campaign sort of started, to ask the leaders of the world, the 7 leaders of the world, of course they were invited guests, to please put ocean protection top of mind. And this campaign started there, and we just sort of took it and put our own South African spin to it, to make sure that everybody, including the minister, Barbara Creasy, to listen to the ocean and make sure that we increase protection from 5 to 10%. I don't know if you'd like to add.
Just to add to that, I think what keeps us up at night is the threats that the ocean faces. So sometimes a lot of us don't even understand what's going on out there, but the threats we face are overfishing, industrial activities like offshore mining, and so those activities that are putting a lot of stress on the ocean keeps us up at night, and we try our best to bring that awareness to South Africans and the world.
That being said, where does South Africa sit on the scale? What can the South African government do? You say you're about affecting policy. What can our government do to be a part of that shift? And are we doing, and how much more do we need to do?
So good question. Prior to 2018, we only had 0.4% of our oceans protected in South Africa. And so government got on a global stage and promised we would get 5% protection, which we did get indeed, which was lovely. But they also got on the global stage and promised 10% protection by 2020. And of course, we're in 2021, and that hasn't happened as yet. So we are still trying to hold government accountable to the promises that they made by granting us, 10% marine protected areas, just so that we can get more of our ocean protected. So it's still a long way away, But I think we're using Youth Day to remind government is such a special thing.
Speaking of Youth Day, I mean, let's talk about the youth themselves. And I love the fact that young people are speaking about something like this, because it seems like what the ocean might be in the future could be a very different thing to what it is right now. And that's scary. I mean, look at all the magic we've been able to take from it, and knowing that our kids might not be able to enjoy it that much. But what is your message, if you could give it out to Mzansi and the rest of the world, especially the youth that are maybe watching today and maybe want to get more involved? What can they do to help and protect this beautiful blue blanket you speak of?
Well, recently the president mentioned that the youth of today have forgotten what it was that the youth of 1976 fought for.
Yeah.
As if we've lost that spirit. But we are here today to say that that's not the truth. As much as they fought for a cause close to their hearts at the time, we are fighting for a cause close to our hearts that influences and impacts our future. Without the ocean, there is no us.
Yeah.
So in saying that, we ask everybody, every South African, to please listen to the ocean, so that the ocean can be enjoyed by us, our children, and their children as well.
And to add on to that, for any South African that's watching this morning wondering what they can do, first thing we'd say is log on to oceanimpact.coza and put your voice, part of 100,000 voices across South Africa that are pushing government to grant us that 10% protection, and also to follow Ocean Impact SA for more updates, so people can learn more about the ocean, because you can't care about something that you don't know about.
You don't have a connection to, for sure.
Following those platforms will really help upskill you in understanding what the ocean is about and doing your bit.
You were imagining being a turtle again, weren't you? He was. He was just swimming free in the ocean.
People this, G. Come on, man.
Sorry, I can feel it. I can feel when you go into turtle. I mean, the hairs on my arms couldn't stand any higher just listening to you speak with the clarity, with your understanding of this particular subject matter. And yes, you are exactly right. Yes, the narrative has changed since 1976, but the voice is just as loud and powerful and potent as it ever has been. So thank you for being the tip of that spear right now. Just so inspiring this morning. We will keep pushing those details on all of our social media platforms, but you can follow at Wild Ocean SA to get regular updates and start immersing, educating yourself, get that emotional connection to this beautiful blue blanket as it's been described.